Dissociative Identity Disorder, the woman who created 2,500 personalities to survive. Thousands of voices echoed through the courtroom one pivotal day, but they all belonged to one woman. Jeni Haynes stepped into the witness stand to confront her abuser, but she wasn't alone. Out of her emerged 6 distinct personalities, each prepared to recount the unimaginable horrors she endured in her childhood. Her story of survival, justice, and awareness about dissociative identity disorder, DID, is one of resilience and triumph, a testament to the strength of the human spirit in the face of trauma. In this video, we'll unravel the extraordinary journey of Jeni Haynes, examine how DID enabled her survival, and reflect on the broader implications of her fight for justice. Dissociative Identity Disorder, or DID, is one of the most complex and misunderstood psychological conditions. Previously known as multiple personality disorder, it's a rare disorder that typically forms as a response to extreme trauma, usually in early childhood. When faced with unbearable physical or emotional pain, a person may dissociate. In the context of DID, this dissociation becomes so severe that it fractures the personality, creating alternate identities, also known as alters. These alters have distinct traits, voices, and sometimes even mannerisms. For individuals suffering from DID, these personalities serve as a survival mechanism. Each carries memories, emotions, or experiences that the primary identity cannot endure. For Jeni Haynes, DID was not just a coping strategy, it was the sole reason she survived the unthinkable. Jeni Haynes was born into a family where monsters lingered, not in bedtime stories, but within the walls of her home. Her father, Richard Haynes, subjected her to years of relentless physical, emotional, and sexual abuse. The crimes he committed were so horrific that authorities would later describe them as among the worst cases of abuse ever encountered in Australia. As a child, Jeni had no escape, no protector, no rescuer, but within her, something incredible was happening. Her young mind began to splinter, creating alternate personalities, fragments of her identity, to shield her from the reality of her father's atrocities. Unbeknownst to Jeni, this fracturing meant survival. What was too overwhelming for her to face, these personalities absorbed for her. For years, she endured relying on this inner world to cope with the outer one. Jeni's condition was slightly different from many other cases of DID. While most individuals diagnosed with this disorder develop a handful of alternate personalities, Jeni's traumatic experiences caused her to create over 2,500 distinct identities. Each personality served a role in protecting her from the pain she endured daily. Some were young, playful, and uninformed of the abuse, carefully shielded from the horrors by other, more stoic personas. These alters carried specific memories and feelings, compartmentalizing the pain in ways that Jeni herself couldn't process. The scale of her dissociation demonstrates the extent of the abuse she endured and the astounding adaptability of the human mind. These identities didn't just help her survive, they became her lifeline. Many survivors of abuse struggle to find justice, some because they are silenced, others because the legal system fails them. But Jeni's story would become a groundbreaking moment in legal and psychological history. Richard Haynes, the man who had tormented her for years, fled to the United Kingdom after his crimes. However, Jeni's relentless pursuit of justice ultimately led to his extradition to Australia, where he would face trial for his actions. This trial was an extraordinary affair for more reasons than one. Jeni didn't face the court alone. 6 of her personalities spoke on her behalf, each taking the witness stand to testify about specific moments of abuse. These alternate identities delivered the vivid, harrowing accounts of what Richard had done. Each personality brought precision and clarity to events that had long been locked away in Jeni's fractured consciousness. This trial marked a groundbreaking first in Australian legal proceedings. Alternate identities within a person with DID were allowed to testify in court. It was a profound acknowledgement of both Jeni's condition and the strength of her case. The courage it took for Jeni and her alternate personalities to relive the trauma on the witness stand cannot be overstated. Through their testimonies, the court was able to piece together the unimaginable truth of Richard Haynes' brutality. It was through the voices of her alters that Jeni found a pathway toward justice. In the end, Richard Haynes was convicted of 25 charges of sexual and indecent assault. He was sentenced to jail, finally answering for his heinous crimes. For true crime audiences, Jeni Haynes' case dissects the intersection of psychology, trauma, and the law. Dissociative identity disorder is often portrayed inaccurately in pop culture, surrounded by stigma and myths. Her trial, however, presented an authentic, sobering view of the condition. The acceptance of her alternate personalities as witnesses was a pivotal moment in educating the public and the judiciary about DID. It showed the intricate ways that trauma impacts the human mind, forcing society to rethink simplistic or dismissive attitudes toward survivor testimony. For Jeni, justice was not the end of her journey. It was the beginning of a new chapter. With her father jailed, she's been able to focus on her healing and advocacy. Jeni continues to live with her 2,500 personalities, each a part of her that contributed to her survival. Managing this complex inner world is no easy task, but Jeni has found ways to navigate life while honoring the alters who protected her for so many years. Her resilience extends beyond her personal healing. Today, Jeni uses her story to bring awareness to the realities of DID, the long-term effects of abuse, and the urgent need to support survivors. Her outreach is not only a testament to her strength, but also a call for compassion and understanding for others like her. Jeni's story goes beyond the details of her abuse and recovery. It forces us as a society to confront uncomfortable truths about trauma, justice, and the roles we play in preventing such atrocities. First, it highlights the critical need for awareness about DID. This disorder remains poorly understood, often dismissed as fiction or exaggerated. Jeni's case shows that DID is not only real, but a vital survival mechanism for individuals facing unimaginable pain. Second, her fight for justice exposes both the strengths and weaknesses of the legal system. Jeni's perseverance led to a conviction, but not every survivor is as fortunate. Advocating for reforms that make the justice system more accessible and supportive for survivors remains vital. Finally, her resilience reminds us of the lasting effects of trauma. Childhood abuse doesn't end in childhood. It leaves scars that can pervade every aspect of one's life unless proper support systems and resources are provided. Jeni Haynes' story is haunting, powerful, and inspirational. It is the story of survival against insurmountable odds, of the human mind's incredible capacity to protect itself, and of one woman's unwavering fight for justice. By sharing her journey, we shed light on the realities of dissociative identity disorder, offer solidarity to survivors of abuse, and remind ourselves of the steps we must take to build a world where stories like Jeni's no longer exist. True crime isn't just about the puzzles of law-breaking, it's about understanding the humanity within the stories. In Jeni's case, we confront not just the crimes committed, but the resilience to overcome them. Her fight is far from over, but through awareness and passionate action, we can create ripples that make the world a more empathetic, informed place for survivors everywhere. Jeni Haynes is not just a survivor. She is a fighter, a symbol of resilience, and a voice for thousands who are yet to find theirs.